Forget the arrows, the swords, or the boiling oil. Tonight, the real predator lurking on this castle wall isn't the enemy army, it's the cold. It doesn't just numb the flesh, it's eroding your marrow, little by little. The granite block beneath your boots is no longer a protective foundation, it's a massive block of ice, sucking the life out of you. Your breath escapes like pale ghosts, vanishing before it can warm your fingertips. You shift your feet, trying to feel your petrified toes, but it's useless. This castle is a masterpiece of defense, but for you, it's just a stone refrigerator carved for war. You won't make it through this night, unless you get creative. Can a common soldier flip the script against nature's brutality? Join Flow of History as we uncover the most horrifying survival hacks. But first, do you have the courage to face this invisible enemy? Your first enemy is the building material itself. Stone, unlike soft wood, is a ruthless heat thief. A 13th century chronicle noted, "The stones are colder than the hearts of our enemies, and you are trapped in that icy embrace." The thick walls don't just block arrows, they trap moisture and drafts, creating a damp, paralyzing hell. Your number one survival secret isn't armor, it's wool. You wrap yourself in multiple layers. Linen easier to wash, even in icy streams close to the skin, overlaid with layers of thick woolen tunics and cloaks. Wool was king because it retained heat even when damp, a bloody lesson learned over centuries. Yet, even wool has its limits. You feel the itchy, stale smell clinging to you, but it's the smell of survival. Some comrades even resorted to extreme measures, stuffing dry straw or scraps of parchment into the gaps between their clothing, turning themselves into rustling hay figures for extra crude insulation. It makes you look ridiculous, but when your lips are cracking, that creativity is invaluable. This leads to the top-tier gear. Sheepskin, the perfect armor. The sheepskin cloak with its thick, natural fleece is the object of desire. It's not glamorous, but it is exponentially more effective. The raw fleece is a natural bioinsulator, trapping body heat far better than woven wool. When you press your cheek against that rough fleece, you feel as though the animal's warmth is still lingering. Records from the Carolingian period confirm the mass distribution of these coats, proving kings understood its life-saving value. After layering up, your next enemy is stillness. Standing motionless on the wall is an invitation to death. Thus, your fundamental survival tactic is non-stop movement. Your heel rhythmically taps the stone, creating a dry, echoing sound in the dark. It's a dance of desperation. Keep moving to avoid freezing solid. When the guard shift ends, you don't seek privacy, you seek communal warmth. You and your comrades will huddle, bunching up on the straw pallets. The pallet, palise, merely a sack of dry hay, is a critical barrier between your body and the hellish stone floor. You lie pressed against your comrade, their elbow nestled against your ribs. This isn't romantic brotherhood, it's raw survival science. The more bodies clustered together, the less heat is lost. You are hugging a stranger, and his breath is the only thing preventing your immediate freezing. To heat the space, soldiers used small aids, portable braziers. These iron cauldrons filled with glowing coals created heat islands in the vast hall, enough to revive numb fingers. Even more inventively, a quirky hack involved placing a cluster of 10 to 20 tallow candles under an inverted clay pot, creating a surprisingly effective mini heater. Also, some soldiers wrapped heated stones from the hearth in thick cloth, turning them into crude hot water bottles to slip into their straw bedding. But the ultimate communal heat strategy was the living furnace. During the coldest nights, desperate garrisons sometimes allowed horses into the outer halls or even communal sleeping quarters. An adult horse is a gigantic biological radiator, emitting steady warmth without fuel. You lie close to its flank, feeling the powerful warmth melting the frost in your bones. It was a messy, smelly chaos, manure and horse sweat, but it was life. The external fire can die, but the inner fire must be nourished. Hot food is not a luxury, it is the lifeblood. You instinctively head to the kitchen, the only room in the castle that refuses to surrender to the cold. The heat from the ovens and the steaming soup cauldrons is momentarily stunning. Sipping a thin, salty broth made of barley and cured meat, or whatever scraps remain, is a near sacred act. The heat spreads from your tongue, down your throat, settling in your chest like a small, glowing coal. The soldiers' primary food source was salted meat, dry, tough, and so briny it was almost petrified. It was like shoe leather, yet it was the crucial calorie fuel for winter. Soldiers often soaked this cured meat in warm ale overnight to tenderize it, or chewed it persistently, accepting the painful sting of the salt on their cracked lips. But did you ever consider that weapons also need to be kept warm? Steel is a traitor. Your sword blade, spearhead, or helmet, if left exposed overnight, would become freezing cold. Touching the bare metal could cause instant frostbite, tearing skin from your flesh. Steel contracts and becomes brittle in the extreme cold, causing mail links to seize or spear shafts to crack. To protect them, soldiers constantly rubbed animal fat onto the metal. They also engaged in the covert warmth tactic. Many soldiers tucked daggers under their tunics or placed sword blades beneath straw bedding to maintain the metal's temperature. A gruesome anecdote tells of some desperate men having to urinate on their sword hilts right before battle just to thaw the frozen grip, the ultimate act of necessity. Despite the cloaks, the straw, and the communal warmth, the cold persists. The consequence is frostbite and sickness. Frostbite is the soldier's nightmare, often starting in the toes and fingers. You've seen comrades lose toes, turning black like burnt candle wax. The only salvation is relentless foot care. Soldiers wrap their feet in rags or bark as makeshift socks, stuffing straw or moss into their boots. This method left feet damp and itchy, but prevented complete freezing. They rubbed their extremities with goose fat or crushed garlic, believing the pungent odor would repel the cold, and endured the sharp pain as blood reluctantly recirculated. The camps shared wisdom: better blisters from rubbing than black toes. The huddled warmth turned the barracks into a hotbed of disease. Coughs, fever, and the egg, likely pneumonia or flu, spread like wildfire. The castle's damp stone walls exacerbated the situation. Meanwhile, soldiers were forced to engage in rigorous drills and intense outdoor exercises. This physical activity wasn't just discipline, it was a survival tactic to force the body to generate heat. The castle's architecture was cruel. The arrow slits didn't just allow archers to fire, they also acted as wind funnels, directing icy drafts straight into the corridors. Facing this, soldiers relied on crude physical shields. They hung mats, old blankets, or ragged cloths on the walls, a poor man's version of the Lord's decorative tapestries. They spread rushes or thick mats across the stone floor. Despite the musty odor and the inevitable infestation of fleas, it was a necessary trade-off. When the body weakens, the spirit must be strong. The spiritual fire was fueled by faith and music. In the frigid chapel, you kneel on the stone floor, murmuring prayers. Prayer is not just faith, it is an exercise. The repetition of hymns encourages deeper breathing and calms the mind. Alongside this were the superstitions. You carried small bones, dried rosemary, or lucky coins sewn into your cloaks, believing these items would confuse the frost spirits. But the climax of spiritual survival was laughter. On long, dark nights, you and your comrades would turn the barracks into a crude theater. They would sing bawdy ballads about tavern wenches and dark jokes about arrogant officers. They even organized stomping, clapping, and singing contests to generate heat through sheer physical exertion. That crude humor was a powerful emotional shield. Can you hear it? That laughter, it is the final wall against the cold. Parallel to the laughter was connection. Though illiterate, you would find a literate comrade to draft a letter home. You described the cold, the awful cured meat, and the comrade's hacks. You folded the letter, tucking a piece of dry straw or a bit of wool inside as evidence. The real warmth came from the image of your loved one receiving that letter. You open your eyes. The smell of straw, sheep fat, and sweat. Your bones ache, but you are alive. This journey through the long night has proven one truth. Medieval soldiers did not survive winter because their castles were well designed. They survived because they refused to yield. Every hack, every joke, every layer of wool, every shared breath was an act of defiance. The castle was steel, but their will was fire. You survived.